Today I'm going to be reviewing the Yates Precision Manufacturing 921 Safety Razor. Welcome everyone, I'm gwsmallwood, the Shaving Disciple, and I'm going to be giving you guys a rundown of my experience with the Yates 921 Safety Razor. So this razor comes to us from Yates Precision Manufacturing, based out of Pennsylvania, which is where my Philadelphia Eagles are from, although I think Yates is on the Steeler end of the state. So I did a little bit of research, and it looks like Yates was founded in 2017, and they started producing safety razors around 2018, so just a little bit after that. Jake, the owner of Yates Precision Manufacturing, is a mechanical engineer, so he's got good design experience. It looks like he's got some experience with aerospace and medical industries, so a lot of good relevant experience to mechanical and manufacturing. And I'm pretty sure Yates also produces all of the affordable stainless steel razors that the Wet Shaving Club has been offering. So I want to say thank you to Yates as well as to the Damn Fine Shave Forum. They offered this razor as a pass around, so I'm pretty sure Yates donated this to the forum. And myself, as well as quite a few different members of the forum, have had the opportunity to try this razor along with all these base plates. It's been a fantastic experience, so I want to say thank you to Yates and to Damn Fine Shave for that. So let's start with the packaging. So the website clearly states on it, packaged with reusable material. So as you can see, that is definitely the case. It had a cardboard outer box, kind of cardboard packing. So I know a lot of people like to see a lot more premium packaging to go along with premium razors, which this being a stainless steel razor and at its price point, I would consider a premium razor. Me personally, I don't mind as much, as long as it's packaged to protect the razor during shipping, which this one isn't bad, but I do think there's a little bit of room for something extra here to protect the razor a little bit better during shipping. So this particular razor has been shipped around to quite a few different members of the forum at this point. So it's had a lot of travel time, and it looks to be in perfectly good condition. So it appears as if the packaging is adequate for protecting the razor, which again, is all I really care about. So like I said, this razor is the 921 razor from Yates. Fun fact, the name of the razor, the 921, comes from Jake and Ashley, the owner of Yates Precision Manufacturing. It comes from their kids. They have two boys who evidently were both born on 921, so that's kind of cool. I really love kind of small family businesses and getting your family involved in what you do, so I can really appreciate that they were able to incorporate that into their business in that way. This razor that I was able to test was in the stone-washed finish. This pass around that I participated in came with the M plate. It also came with a hybrid plate, which is basically the same thing as the M plate, but it's got an open comb on one side and it's brass. It also came with the H plate and the EH plate, and those are kind of the order of aggressiveness or efficiency for this razor. So all of these base plates are in stonewash, just like the base razor, except for that hybrid plate, which is in brass. And that's the only way that particular base plate's offered. The razor is 100% designed, made, manufactured in the United States. So this entire razor, like I said, except for that hybrid plate, is made of CNC machined stainless steel, 316 stainless steel. The hybrid plate is CNC machined from brass. So the price of this razor with a single base plate is $125, which, in my opinion, really good price for a 100% made in the USA stainless steel razor. That price also includes what they say is 1 month worth of blades. Now they don't say how many blades that is or what brand of blades, so I'm not sure what that means. It could be 30 blades, it could be 5 blades. It all depends on what they assume 1 month's worth of blades would be. The razor is also available in bead blasted, machined, or polished finishes. Now the polished finish does cost about an extra 20 bucks, but the rest of them are all the same, $125. You can also buy the individual base plates. They vary from like 25 bucks to 32 bucks, I think, depending on which base plate. They also offer bundles, so you can get a single razor with one extra base plate for a discounted price as well. They do also come with an option of some slightly shorter handles. Those are available only if you buy the razor in piece parts. So you basically build your own razor instead of ordering one razor and swapping out the base plate. You just have to order each of the individual pieces. And those handles are available in brass, stainless steel, and copper. So Yates also has some cases, really nice leather cases, as well as a stand, a couple of other accessories. One other thing I stumbled across on their site was their titanium option. And this is a pretty cool concept. It's basically a maker's choice situation where you get on a waiting list, they'll make the razor, and they'll do it in kind of whatever form they decide they want to make it. And then they give kind of the next person down on the list the option whether they want to buy the one they just made or not. And they keep moving down the list until they find a buyer. So it's kind of cool. You get individualized, highly custom titanium razors that way. So it's kind of a neat idea. So back to the 921. This razor weighs in at 93 grams, which is a little bit lighter, but pretty close to something like an above the tie with an Atlas handle, or a Blackbird with an 85 millimeter handle. So kind of in that normal weight range for a stainless steel razor. So the handle on this particular razor is 4 inches long, which comes out to about 102, little less than 102 millimeters, which is pretty long for a safety razor handle. The diameter is 0.38 inches, which comes out to 9.65 millimeters, which is a little bit more narrow than you typically see in a safety razor. Usually they range from 14 to 16 millimeter for a pretty standard safety razor handle. So this one is a lot thinner, a lot narrower. So even though this handle doesn't have any real knurling on it, I didn't find this stone-washed version to be slippery or anything. Had plenty of grip, never felt like I was in danger of losing a hold of it. I will say that the 4 millimeter handle felt far too long, and I think the fact that it's so narrow made it feel even longer than it is for me. But as a head shaver, I found it to be a little bit too long. It felt a little bit unwieldy. It made it really hard to hold the angle where it needed to be on the back of my head particularly. And there were a couple of times when I was using it where the handle just kind of felt a little bit cumbersome. It felt like it was getting in the way of my hand. So I personally didn't really love this particular handle variant. But like I said, they do offer those shorter, a little bit thicker 3.25 inch handle variants. So the other kind of odd thing about this razor is the way the base plate mates to the handles. So because of the way this base plate has a stepped design, it has a very narrow channel on the base plate that the handle has to fit into. And the post isn't particularly long, so you really need the handle to be able to snug all the way up to the bottom of the base plate in order to engage all the threads properly. So I was able to find a couple of handles in my den that worked well with the Yates. One was my Blackbird, which the Blackbird design has a recessed slot in the base plate, so the handle has the corresponding narrow post on it. And then another one was a DS Cosmetic Destroyer handle. That one was narrow enough to fit this particular base plate and head. So my Above the Tie Atlas, my RazorRock Barber Pole, and my Icon Bulldog, all very popular handles. None of those worked. So it's just something to be aware of with this razor. If you have a favorite handle that you like to use, it may not work with this particular razor head. One of the things I really liked about this razor was the top cap design. So the top cap on this razor, it does kind of sort of cover the blade tabs. So the base plate is long enough to cover those blade tabs, but the top cap has indentations. Similar to the Phoenix Artisan Ascension razors, or the Carve razors also have that feature where it's kind of indented a little bit on the top cap, which allows you to handle the ends of the blade tabs if you need to for removing the blade easier, or if sometimes you get a blade that doesn't quite line up properly. This one does have really good tolerances, but just in case you feel the need to shift the blade around at all, I like that the top cap kind of allows you to do that if you need to. So how did it shave? That's what you guys all want to know, right? So I never tried the M plate. I prefer some more efficiency and aggressiveness and blade feel in my razors, the way I use razors. And I kind of knew that M plate wasn't going to give me that. Now I did use the hybrid plate, which has the open comb on one side and the solid bar on the other side. And it has the same basic head geometry as the M plate. And then of course I used the H plate and the EH plate as well. Now Yates does publish blade gap information for all of these base plates. I'm not going to give you that information. You can go to the website and check that out if you want. I'll link it in the description below. I just don't find that information by itself all that useful. So I've got razors with really big blade gaps that aren't very efficient and vice versa. Now I will say that they advertise the M plate as having neutral blade exposure, which basically means not much of the blade pokes out past the base plate and top cap. And the H and EH are both advertised as having a positive blade exposure. So before I get too far into the individual plates and how they felt, I did want to make a general comment about this razor that applies to all the plates. So I found with this razor that there was a very narrow sweet spot when it came to cutting angle. So I was able to experiment with these, and the cutting angle required was surprisingly steep. So if you don't know what steep versus shallow angles are, steep is when the edge of the blade is more perpendicular to the skin, and shallow is when the edge of the blade is closer to parallel to the skin. Now with this particular razor, I found that it really not just wanted, but required a very steep angle. I'm someone who typically prefers to use a steeper angle with my razors if I can. And this still felt a little bit extreme to me. It was nearly perpendicular to my face. I found that if I tried to go a little bit more parallel, I would lose the blade feel so much that it just didn't feel like it was cutting. But not only that, the top cap would start to drag on the skin a little bit. So with this razor, you almost had to ride the safety bar to get the proper cutting angle. The only other razor I've really experienced this level of that issue with before is the Blackbird. To me, the Blackbird's similar. It really needs that steep angle, and if you get too shallow on the angle, the top cap starts to hit your skin and drag the razor a little bit. But even with the Blackbird, the angle isn't nearly as steep as I felt it needed to be with the Yates. So I used the hybrid plate for a couple of face shaves, and I started with the open comb. And one of the things that I noticed with the open comb is it's surprisingly smooth. I almost couldn't tell the difference from face feel between the open comb and the safety bar side of the hybrid plate, which I expected otherwise, because if you look at the combs on this, they're rather straight. They don't have a lot of curve at the end. And I typically have a lot of issues with those sorts of combs. I can feel the combs on my face more than I can feel the blade with a lot of razors like that. I just used the new Deluxe razor recently. That's one of those that I really feel the teeth on that. This razor I didn't, even though I had to kind of ride that guard at a very steep angle to get it to shave well. I still didn't really feel those teeth. So it's really manufactured in a very, very good way to allow you to get a smooth shave with that open comb side. So yeah, both the open comb and the solid bar side of that hybrid plate were very, very smooth, relatively efficient. I did have to go across the grain in both directions on my face to get a pretty close shave. I did feel a little bit of tugging on the neck with both the open comb and the solid bar side of the hybrid head. So moving to the H plate, that was a definite step up in aggressiveness and efficiency. Now I wouldn't say it was particularly aggressive or efficient really. So I would actually classify the H plate as kind of a medium razor as far as aggressive and efficiency. But they were definitely more aggressive and efficient than the M plate. So using that H plate, I did do a single across the grain pass on my head. I did find that the angle was a little bit more forgiving than the M plate, but not a ton. But there were definitely some areas that needed some extra attention and some touch up, which I don't find that happens much with my more efficient razors. Now the EH was obviously another step up and was starting to get closer to the razors that I am more comfortable with and used to using. So I tend to like high efficiency, high aggressive razors, the Sterling ST, the R41. I typically use my adjustable razors wide open. So I like stuff with high efficiency, high aggressive, and a little bit of blade feel. Now efficiency wise, I would say the EH plate, again, was a step up from the H, but it wasn't in the same league as those razors I just mentioned. I would put the EH closer to the Blackbird. So with the Blackbird and this EH razor, I was able to get what I consider to be a really good shave with a single across the grain pass on my head. Now, I can get the same sort of shave from a with the grain pass with those razors I mentioned earlier. So to me, it's not quite in the same class as those, even though it's advertised as being extra high efficiency. I would put it closer to the Blackbird. So overall, I found the Yates 921 to have quite a bit of blade feel without the corresponding efficiency that you typically expect with that much blade feel. I've tried a few other razors that I would say the same thing about, one being the Carve up at the E and F levels, and the other being the Homelike Start razor. Now all these razors kind of share the same design feature where as you go up in base plate aggression, they increase the gap, but they otherwise don't change the geometry of the head of the razor. So to me, what that does is it gives you really large blade gaps without a ton of efficiency because you're not really changing the blade exposure that much. You're not really changing the amount of blade that's touching the skin very much, even though your blade gap's going up so much, which is why I don't like blade gap by itself as a very good gauge of razor efficiency. So that being said, I would say that the Yates probably isn't a razor for me. It's definitely got a lot of good things going for it, and I can see there are probably tons of people who are going to like this razor. Particularly if you like the Homelike Start razors or you like the Carve series of razors, you'll probably like the Yates. I think it was very similar in shave feel to those. I do like the stonewash finish. I think that's cool. I think it's unique. It's not something you see on any other razors, so I do like that. And I definitely like the price point. Like I mentioned earlier, $125 for a fully made and manufactured in the USA stainless steel 316 razor. It's a really, really good price. So again, I want to say thank you to Yates Precision Manufacturing and the Damn Fine Shave Forum for offering this razor as a pass around. I'm so glad I got to use it, and I really, really hope you guys found this review helpful. If you guys are interested in anything I mentioned in this video, including Yates and the Damn Fine Shave Forum, I'll have links for all that in my video description below. Thanks for watching.